I got it ready. Hello, namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching in this broadcast from. My name is Nishit Kotak. I am here with the team from Hindu Academy. Thank you for joining us today. We meet every Saturday at 2 o'clock UK time. And if you're watching us for the very first time, please make sure you subscribe and like the video. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube at youtube.com/Hindu Academy. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, then make sure you engage with us on facebook.com/Hindu Academy. So for those of you who are new to the broadcast, this broadcast is based around Hinduism. It is meant to answer your questions around the topic of Hinduism. And the way we engage with you is you would post your questions, thoughts, comments into the comments area on either YouTube or on the Facebook page where this video is posted. We will then pick that up and then answer your questions live on air as we go along. But initially, we are going to start off with a focus topic video. So every week we have a different topic. Today's topic is how Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans has unified Hinduism, or Sanatan Dharma as we call it. So what I'm going to do is just quickly run into sharing this video, then we will come back immediately after for a discussion around it, and then launch into the Q&A session. Here we go.
This marvelous religion that you come from can best be described as a family of sectarian movements. Vastly different variety of different expressions of spirituality come under the umbrella of Hinduism. This is the breadth of vision of this religion. It allows variety of different ways of exploring the idea of spirituality in different ages. It's a very broad enterprise. So this is why it sometimes appears scattered and at loggerheads. So it is crucial that some kind of reconciliation must be sought. In fact, let me tell you the story. 150 years ago in India, we find Hinduism in tatters. The different strands of Hinduism were not reconciled, they were completely disjointed and kind of floating in air. You got the Vaishnavites focusing on Vishnu, you got the Shaivites focusing on Shiva, you got the Shaktas focusing on the Mother Goddess, you got the Arya Samaj saying God without form. And then you got the variety of different philosophic approaches saying your essential nature is the spirit, you are God. So all these vastly different, if you like, various movements were visible in India, and this produced a highly scattered enterprise, not reconciled at all, intellectually or in any other sense. In fact, Ninian Smart, one of the marvelous personalities, one of the modern theologians who I respect, said something very interesting. He said, 150 years ago, Hinduism was in tatters. If you got any system of thought where the different parts of the particular system do not sit well with each other, you produce a very jagged, a very disjointed system which is not at ease with itself. So here begins my story. You see, in a way, it's good that you asked me to come and talk about, if you like, reconciliation of different strands of Hinduism, because I have been inspired by Swami Vivekananda, and his mentor, most people have not even heard the name, is Sri Ramakrishna. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is a very unique personality, because in this one life we find reconciliation of various aspects of Hinduism, Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Shakta ideas of my essential nature, spirit, all reconciled, not intellectually with drinking cups of coffee, but actually experientially. This is incredible. In fact, one of this very interesting, very astute thinker, an atheist, Sir Arnold Toynbee, says something very interesting. He said, in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we find the variety of spiritual experiences, the comprehensive nature of his spiritual experiences has not been seen on the face of this earth, in the East or West. This is a very dramatic statement to pass. Highly comprehensive, because what happened is this. This one man In this one man, we find, if you like, the aspiration of millions of Hindus over thousands of years coming to fruition in one life, in one human being. Incredible. And yet many of you may not even have heard his name. In fact, I would not have heard his name unless I came across Swami Vivekananda. The fireball is through the West. And it is through Vivekananda that I came across his marvelous personality, Sri Ramakrishna. And the reason why I'm saying starting my journey by bringing him into the picture is this. Here we find reconciliation at a genuine level, not only purely intellectually, let's see, think philosophically, but at experiential level. This man, in this one lifetime, was able to experience, take the bhakti movement and experience the idea of God as Vishnu to its conclusion. He could take on the idea of, thinking of God like the mother goddess and come to his conclusion, actually experience mother goddess. In the next moment, he goes into deepest meditation and says, I am the spirit, I am Atman. In one lifetime, switching from one to the other. So various, if you like, strands of Hinduism, which were never reconciled, were reconciled in this one life. This is the story. So you have chosen a good speaker because I come from a tradition that has already reconciled the various strands of Hinduism.
So there we have it, folks. An amazing opportunity for us to learn more about Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, a true modern spiritual giant of the modern age. So to carry on the conversation further, I will invite my team. We've got Manish Bhai, Vijay Bhai, Sita Ben. Welcome to the call today. And Manish Bhai, over to you.
Namaste viewers, thank you for joining us today. Special day was yesterday in 18 February. On 18 February 1836, Sri Ramakrishna was born in Kamarpukur near Calcutta. And today we are talking about his life and how he's impacted the whole world. We did put out 3 videos on Jai Bhai's Story of Ramakrishna yesterday, and you can find those videos. Jai Bhai did a series of lectures on Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and those are available, and we put them together in 3 parts, and they were put out on YouTube yesterday, and hopefully you can find them, and it's so interesting to watch them. So hope you take notice of that, and yes, you enjoy those. We take the first question. Sita Ben, what does Ramakrishna mean to you?
Well, I've been lucky enough to grow up with the Ramakrishna tradition. I actually had a picture of Ramakrishna in my cot, which I used to chew. So right from then, I've just literally grown up with that tradition. And I'm very lucky because I've grown up with this idea. The key idea that Ramakrishna brought was that you can see so many different religions as being equally valid pathways of making spiritual progress. And being brought up in that way, in a sort of multicultural London, is very, very valuable, because you don't see any religion as being better or worse than any other religion. They are all wonderful, valid pathways of making spiritual progress. My mum read the Gospel of Ramakrishna when she was pregnant with me, so it's kind of sort of imbibed in my whole system, and I'm extremely lucky. And obviously growing up with Dad and, seeing the passion that he had for this personality, it really rubbed off on me, and it made me realize what an amazing personality he is. And we're very lucky to know about him, because many people are not even aware of him. They've never heard of his name before. And I think that's part of the role of the Hindu Academy, is to sort of promote such wonderful personalities who have not only just had one sort of glimpse of a spiritual experience, but as Dad said in the video, it's the spiritual aspirations of millions of people over thousands of years. And he was able to sort of express spirituality in such a wide range of ways that I don't think it's ever been done in the history of humanity. So it's not a personality to be underestimated whatsoever. And he has a major role to play in the world today. with all of the sort of fighting in the name of religion and the various problems that are caused by having religion in the first place can be addressed through the life of Sri Ramakrishna, the experiential level of spiritual experience that he provides for such a wide range of religions, and suggesting the possibility that even non-religious pathways are also ways of making spiritual progress is extremely valuable in today's world, where everything just seems so confusing and the word religion is just infused with conflict and confusion, and it's a bit of a mess. So there is a real role for him to play in the world today. Vijay Bhai?
I think Sita, you've got it pretty well. I mean, what I can add is that, it's quite interesting that, we have so many different world religions, yet we all say, mine is right, mine is right. And hold on a minute, all of humanity is aspiring towards higher things. Doesn't matter where you are, no matter which village you're born in, which kind of society you're born in, everybody's aspiring to, to be something better than themselves and achieve something higher. And then when we say that, oh, this path is the only right path, everything else is wrong, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense, right? And we've all been grown up with this sectarian kind of narrow mindset. Only this is right, or only mine is right. But really, if you look at carefully, do you think that's really true? Surely all of humanity is aspiring for something higher. They must have some truth in everything, every one of those, beliefs that they have. Why would you say that this guy is going to burn in hellfire? This will go to heaven. All this kind of stuff, it kind of messes the entire picture. And then on the scene comes Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He goes, look, humanity is one big kind of family in that sense. And everybody's aspiring for something higher. And not only did he say that, he actually experienced and he proved it. And that's the beauty about it. In effect, doesn't matter what pathway you follow. He's actually done that. I mean, it's quite interesting that, we know that Ramakrishna Paramahansa, did practice Christianity and achieve, the same goal from Christianity, Islam, and Sufism. We know all that stuff. Yet even within the Hinduism, you'll be surprised, he tried so many different paths. He tried, also different ways to worship Krishna, Gopi Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav. In effect, all come to the same kind of conclusion. And that is a very, very big lesson for humanity, to see that actually, by the way, why are you fighting that mine is right? Mine, it's like children, mine is right. Why are you doing that, for heaven's sake? Can't you see what's happening? And this message that Ramakrishna Paramahansa has done, it is just surprising that nobody even thinks like that. I mean, we should all be thinking in that format, that everybody is, we're all the same. Why should we fight that mine is right? It doesn't make sense. And on the face of it, looks so obvious, right? But we don't think like that. And Ramakrishna Paramahansa comes on the scene and actually proves it to us. Look, I've done this and I've actually shown you. And that's why I think it's really special what he's achieved. And we really need to take his kind of his experiences and his understanding of spirituality and really kind of put it inside our hearts. Then you really feel, you automatically develop respect for everybody else. And I think the work, the kind of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, what he's achieved is actually immense. I think it's about time the world actually took his message far more seriously. As Sita Ben said, to stop, all this conflict we have. Yeah, Manish bhai.
Vijay bhai, any personal stories like Sita Ben just mentioned from you?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, again, for me, it was like pretty much like Jay bhai. Swami Vivekananda. I was lucky that my father was quite a spiritual person. But one thing he did do was he actually made sure that I learned about all different experiences of, within Hinduism. I'm from the Swaminarayan faith, which is kind of, Dvait tradition, basically Ramanuja tradition, based on Ramanuja. But I came across the things of Swami Vivekananda through my father, and I just read all the volumes, like Jai Bhai, and then of course once you do that, Ramakrishna Paramahansa comes on the scene. The thing about Ramakrishna Paramahansa is very interesting. When you read his works first time, or you think, what a strange person, strange fellow. But then you think, when you start thinking like him, then you go, no, this guy is on a different level altogether. Yeah, you don't want to mess with him, basically. And that's an aim you want to achieve. You want to achieve that level. But it's just a question that because we work at a certain different level, work at so much on a material level, it's difficult unless you think something spiritually. You cannot understand his great achievements. That's something we all have to work towards. But yeah, that's what I can add on that. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, Vijay bhai. So we've got Rahul MG saying, I don't know anything about Ramakrishna Mission. Could you please elaborate on Ramakrishna Mission and their works quickly, Vijay bhai?
Okay, Ramakrishna Mission is it's so sad. I mean, it's not in a way, you know. I kind of when I met this monk at Sita's wedding actually, and I told him, why don't you promote Ramakrishna Mission? Because we don't want to promote ourselves, but I think they should, because that's my personal view. There's about 400, 500 major Ramakrishna Mission schools in India, and they work in some of the most poorest areas. Even in Kutch, in the remote Kutch, where nobody would go in that heat and desert, they would go to Ramakrishna Mission School. So they are so big. By the way, it's really strange that you see, I don't want to have a go at anybody, but you hear a lot about Mother Teresa, you know, she's done this work for the poor. Therefore, Ramakrishna Mission has done far, far more, 100 times more, but nobody knows about it. Everywhere you go, Ramakrishna Mission. I mean, the thing is, Swami Vivekananda set up Ramakrishna Mission for that particular reason. Because don't forget that Swami Vivekananda has walked the length and breadth of India. He has spent time in the Adivasi forest, you know, with mosquitoes, you name it. Swami Vivekananda, everything is done all that, and he's actually experienced poverty firsthand. So when he got some money from America, you know, the lectures he gave, yes, Ramakrishna Mission, he established Ramakrishna Mission for that particular reason, just to emancipate, you know, India. So one of the main things that do Ramakrishna Mission is, of course, one is education and work with the poor. That's their primary goal. And it's out. I suggest go out and Google and read about Ramakrishna Mission. And I'm telling you something, it'll lighten your eyes and also brighten your heart. And you'll really be impressed that there's somebody doing much very quietly, doing such great work in India. So Ramakrishna Mission achievements are immense. Some other interesting fact I'll tell you. Some of the main schools run in Calcutta, which are Ramakrishna Mission, you'll be surprised. 60% of students are Muslim children. They don't distinguish. Anybody can come, whether you're really any religion, any kind of, you know, no matter what kind of class or society you're in, they will happily take you and teach you for free. And it's one of the best, I think, in India, Ramakrishna Mission. I don't know if you know, but the Prime Minister of India wanted to become part of Ramakrishna Mission. He actually wanted to become a monk in Ramakrishna Mission. It's just that I think the head of Ramakrishna said, look, no, you've got other better, far greater task for you to fulfill. So we won't accept you. Others would become a monk as well. But I would suggest, if you haven't heard of it, I don't blame you, because they don't blow their own trumpet. I wish they did, but I mean, they've told me no, so I'll accept their view on that. But please go read in the internet and you'll really feel really good about it. Yeah. Sita Ben?
Yeah, I think you've covered it amazingly. They do such amazing work in such a quiet and humble way. And whenever we, as a family, want to donate, that's the place that we go to. And they don't even, you know, advertise, as Vijay Bhai said, they don't make it easy to even find where to donate. They just carry on with the work quietly, making a difference and, you know, not discriminating, as Vijay Bhai said, doing the work for humanity, basically. And in the West as well, they've also got a vast range of Ramakrishna missions across the West as well. And when I was younger with mum and dad, we did a pilgrimage across America, visiting all of the Ramakrishna missions as well as the ones in the East as well. So I think they're really fulfilling a function, because in the West there's a real need for spiritual knowledge, because the West has got a lot of wealth, and, you know, it's a first world country in the West, but the third world countries like India and, you know, other places like that, they need the sort of humanitarian support, and the West needs the sort of spiritual guidance. So the Ramakrishna Mission addresses both the needs of the East and the West in such a beautiful way.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sita Ben, Vijay Bhai. So Vijay Bhai just shared their Ramakrishna Mission headquarters URL, website URL. So that is belurmath.org. That is BELURMATH.org. If you want to check it up later, please do so. Or if you search, if you Google Belur Math, you should be able to find Ramakrishna Mission's headquarter and the kind of activities they do. Also, you know, all the works of Swami Vivekananda, complete works of Swami Vivekananda and Gospel of Ramakrishna is available online through one of the Ramakrishna Mission Center. And if you search for Ramakrishna Vivekananda info, you will find all that. So all this information, they put it away free on the web for anyone to find and use as they need. We come back to the Ramakrishna effect of Sri Ramakrishna. So as Jai Bhai said, what happened in 1857, British almost came into power in all over India. They were ruling the India basically. And with that moved in Christian missionary. What they wanted to do, Christianize the whole India. That was their target. And with that onslaught, we see two movements coming from India try to counteract. One is Arya Samaj started by Dayanand Saraswati, and the second is Brahmo Samaj by Kesav Chandra Sen. And both of these movements, if you see, they start moving away from Murti Puja, or some people call it idol worship. It's no idol worship, but if we call it Murti Puja, they try to come out and try to go back to Vedas and try to go, back to formless God. And here comes Ramakrishna Paramahansa. What did Sri Ramakrishna did? How did he change this scenario, Vijay Bhai? Sorry, you're mute, Vijay Bhai.
Sorry, I was just saying that, while it's very true, yes, that the Dayanand Saraswati started the Arya Samaj and then Kesav Chandra Sen started the Brahmo Samaj. But you can see that by and large, they actually felt that they need to fight Christianity on a similar level. So as you know, Brahmo Samaj believe in the idea of monotheistic God, right? And they believe in the God with, with no images. So in many ways, they're using a Christian argument to fight a Christian, to fight the Christianity. But the thing is, the fact remains, the whole mass of India are worshipping God in myriad ways, right? And they're all divine. How can they be wrong? Yeah, because just because some poor old lady is worshipping, a murti puja in some village, why would you say, oh no, we are much more intellectual, we're much more understanding, we understand this much better. The fact is that the entire humanity is working towards spiritual. Doesn't matter where you are. So Ramakrishna was such a kind of a breath of fresh air to tell people, look, you're all divine, you're all spiritual. Just progress from where you are. Whereas regarding Kesav Chandra Sen, they were like in many ways elite. Let's face it. I mean, I know they did really good work. I'm not saying they did fantastic work, but the kind of crowd they pulled, quite a few are, very intellectuals. What about the mass of India who are worshipping gods in a genuine, genuine innocent of kind of dedicated manner, like, bhakti movement? And Ramakrishna was said, look, I'm doing it, do that as well. So in many ways, it kind of is a very good fresh of breath here. Everybody's trying to be more like, be like Christian, I want to try and become intellectual like him. You don't need to. And Ramakrishna Paramahansa actually showed us that, I love that, because the fact he goes, look, you're okay where you are. Don't feel that you're any lesser. And that's a key message that comes up from Ramakrishna Paramahansa's life in that sense. So very, very good stuff, I think, in that sense. Sita, man.
Yeah, I think the difference between those two movements and the Ramakrishna movement is, the Arya Samaj, Brahmo Samaj, they went out and they did a lot of social work. So they're going all over the place, here, there, and everywhere to sort of resolve a lot of social problems, which is a fantastic thing to do. But what the Ramakrishna tradition is all about is, like, in a way, just sort of staying still, staying in its place calmly, but then just sort of opening the petals of a flower and just showing the beauty of Hinduism. And as I've said before, that's just showing the beauty means that, the people who are drawn and attracted to spirituality will come on their own. And that's why during the time of Ramakrishna, there was no big, drum beating. There was no thousands of people sitting there. It was just a handful of disciples. And Ramakrishna was even picky with who he chose to sit with him. As we discussed previously, he only chose the people who he knew were at the right place spiritually on their spiritual journey to come and sit with him and become his disciples. So he wasn't going out there drum beating and making big social change in society, which is what the Arya Samaj, Brahmo Samaj focused on, which is wonderful in its own right. But the Ramakrishna movement is different. It works quietly, it works humbly, and it works beautifully. Just from that one point, it just opens the beauty of spirituality of Hinduism. And the people who are interested will come, the genuine people will come. It's not one of those things where you kind of go out and proselytize and say, oh, everyone must convert to this way of thinking. No, you will come to it if you are ready. And that's the wonderful thing about the Ramakrishna mission. It never pushes itself onto anybody. If you are lucky enough to find it, you find it. because that means you're at the right point in your spiritual journey to appreciate and value it.
Wonderful stuff, Sitaben. So yeah, just to mention, Ramakrishna prepared Vivekananda and threw the fireball at the West, and he basically changed the whole scenario with presenting Hinduism at World Parliament of Religion, and he inspired even the leaders in India to, patriotism, and in a way he brought about this change of thinking that we are no less, and what we have as a Sanatan Dharma, the spiritual heritage we have, there is nowhere to be found, and that is the spiritual democracy, that is Sanatan Dharma, is highlighted by Ramakrishna Paramahansa. And could you tell us more about it, the pluralism and spiritual democracy promoted by Ramakrishna Mission, Paramahansa, Sitaben?
Yes, so that was the whole purpose of Ramakrishna's life, was to show this wide variety of different ways of making spiritual progress. And as we mentioned just earlier, India has been through so many invasions, so many people have come and trampled on, the dignity of the Indian people. And there was a need for a personality like Vivekananda to go to America to benefit the Indian community by sort of getting some kind of validation from the West, because unfortunately we have this mentality, the Indian mentality of, if it's approved by the West, that means it's good. But if it's just ours and it's just sort of praised by Indians praising Indians, then it's okay, But then that was what Vivekananda went to America for. He showed the beautiful gems at the heart of Hinduism, and it bowled over the American people. They said, how can we go out there and proselytize to these people? We should be learning from them. And then Vivekananda went back to India as a hero. He was then appreciated. Before that, he was walking around almost like a beggar across India, seeing the plight and the poverty of his people, and it really broke his heart. And that's what stirred him to go to America and do this work. So Vivekananda came back as a hero, and the West has approved it, so it's okay. And it's a terrible mindset that we really need to get out of, this kind of slave mentality that, the West likes it, that means we should like it too. Hopefully in days to come, we will move out of that mentality, but it takes a long time. But having said that, Vivekananda was the one to really fire up the Indian nation, because we'd lost a lot of our confidence, our dignity, our strength in ourselves. So Vivekananda was, as you said, focusing as well on the Indian population to say, come on, be strong, pull yourselves up. We've got so much spirituality at the heart of our tradition, and that's what's held us together for so many thousands of years. So come on, pull yourselves up and do something for your fellow human being. And it really sort of strengthened and invigorated the Indian population, which has been trampled on for so many hundreds of years. So there was a real need for that. He fulfilled the need of the West, which was starving for some kind of spiritual guidance. They'd sort of, they've got all the materialistic comforts and needs that they could want, but they were lacking that spiritual growth, that spiritual thirst that they had. And with the Indian population, Vivekananda really imbibed them with strength. So he really fulfilled the needs of two very different communities throughout his very short life. Vijay?
I see them, you got it pretty well. All I can add is, just reminds me that some of the letters you can see when he was in America, from a lot of his followers in America, it was like a breath of fresh air, because you can imagine somebody who's got absolutely no clue about Vedanta, absolutely no clue about Hinduism. All they hear is from the missionary saying, we need money, we want to convert all these poor Indians, who are godless, primitive. Please. That's all they've heard about Hinduism. That's it about Indian people. And then Swami Vivekananda goes and gives this huge lecture in the foreign religions. You can imagine that the kind of the shell shock they must have faced to hear that kind of message. And then by and large, as Swami Vivekananda went all over America, and people who are actually so naive about India, and for once, their eyes totally opened up So the work that Swami Vivekananda did in America is immense. His ripples are felt for so long after he came back to India. And again, as Sita mentioned, also in India, that was actually the tougher challenge for Swami Vivekananda, to how to get people in India have inner strength and come out strong. And if you look at Swami Vivekananda's life and his message, it's always been that be strong in yourself, be firm-footed. And that's something that even to this, I think India still struggles with. And I think as Sita mentioned, we still suffer. I call it passive colonialism, because it's still there. You may not think it, but it's still there, the way we act, the way we do things. Even now, just listening to some video YouTube recently, and you see people going, "Me lords in court, me lords, wearing wigs." It's all there. It hasn't gone. So the thing is, I think, I hope Swami Vivekananda's message actually eventually comes to. It will come to, I have no doubt, when we can stand firmly on our own feet and have some inner strength and basically feel free from this yoke that's holding the Indians down for God knows how many centuries. Yeah, that's it. So like I am the Manish Bhai. Yeah.
Okay, Sobit Gupta has asked two nice questions, so I'll wrap them together. He's asked, sir, what actionable habit can we start building from today to follow the path of Swami Vivekananda? And the second question he's asked is, how can we as individuals market Sanatan Dharma among the youth so that they get to know the real thing and not the propaganda? Vijay Bhai?
Okay, two things about Swami Vivekananda. I tell you what I would say. If you go the path of Vivekananda, forget being, all this puja, whatever. Be strong. Yeah, be strong, firm, and have strength in your Sanatan Dharma. So if you are strong and firm and self-confident, rest will just flow. Believe me, you will not hesitate, and build character, strength of character, honesty, dignity. All these are very key things. And you'll be surprised. This is what Swami really wants. Yeah. He'd rather have somebody playing football, and running out in the field, and somebody who is just blindly worshipping Gaudiya temple, with just for the sake of it. So his whole life has been first be inner strength, be strong, and then everything else will follow. Spirituality will come. So believe in yourself. That's the key message. Start with that. Forget anything else. That's the biggest thing you can do. Regarding Sanatana Dharma, I agree that we face a lot of challenges from a lot of mission religions, and they try and put us down. And I think the problem partly is on Indians as well. We kind of shy down. We say, "Oh, they're asking this," and we don't come out. As I just mentioned, if you want to Sanatana Dharma, be strong and don't fearless and speak out for a Dharma. Go out and speak it. Yes. That's the main thing we got to do, because otherwise, if you keep on hiding away and saying, "Oh, okay, we don't want to convert people," but there's nothing wrong in saying we got some wonderful material, which is what the Hindu Academy is doing through our website, through this, lectures we give, through all these weekly sessions we do. So yeah, please do your own little bit, but first of all, be strong in yourself. Sita-ben?
Yeah, I think that's the key sort of message really, is just to have belief in yourself, because the heart of Hindu philosophy is that we are all spirit. So if we can't sort of look to ourselves for strength and for doing something good for the world, then what kind of a religion is that? It has to start from inner strength. And also having an education, having a structured understanding of your religion goes a long way to building that confidence, because there are a lot of people out there who try and sling mud at Hinduism. And if you're not prepared for it, you will also then start to think of Hinduism in a negative way. So as long as you have that understanding that, oh, this is the reason why some people like to think of God with form, and this is why there are animals in some of our images of gods and goddesses. It's not a weird religion. We're just elevating the animal kingdom to the level of the divine. When you start understanding it that way, you feel confident about your inheritance, your spiritual inheritance. So when you go out there, you are strong in yourself and you're able to defend your religion. And actually people will start thinking, well, wow, this is a great religion. It's there's a real strength and beauty to it. And it's lasted thousands of years throughout so many invasions, so many people trying to convert people out of Hinduism. It's still there as one of the most ancient religions. And there's really some beauty to that.
Wonderful stuff, Sita-ben. So bit, there you go. Two things. One is understand the comprehensive Sanatan Dharma that it is. We do have an online course which Nisit Bhai will talk in just a minute. And the same thing we need to give to our youth and children is to teach Hinduism, not preach. Get them to rationally think about these Sanatana Dharma ideas. And the best way to do is, again, social media and all these social platforms that are coming up. These are the way to reach the youth. And this is how we are reaching to people as well. Nisit Bhai, over to you for your session.
Wonderful, Minister. Thank you so much. So, folks, as you know, we have got a number of resources that are available for you to use. So let me just share my screen and walk you through some of these resources. The number one resource that we've got is our YouTube channel with 102,000 subscribers and over 3,000 videos. This is becoming your go-to community for discussing anything to do with Hinduism. Now, if you want to find out how you can get onto our WhatsApp groups, then simply go to the About section here, look at this number here, follow the instructions to join the WhatsApp groups, and you will get daily little clips up to 3 minutes. If that number is wrong, please do let me know, Manish Bhai or Sita Ben. I believe that is the right number though. It's ending with a 792.
Yes, that's right. I mean, there is another number which maybe we can change later. We'll add it on the website because this number is full.
So just keep an eye on this side of the About section. We will update with the latest current numbers, and you can join us on YouTube, and you can also enjoy the videos that are on this. Now, we also have a very, very active Twitter page with 35,000 plus followers. So we need your help to engage with us on Twitter so we can get to the same equal level with YouTube, at least to 102,000, give it a balance. But do catch us, you can watch the live streams here on Twitter as well. Also, we have Facebook, which is busy, and you can watch the videos here on Facebook as well. Now, Vijay Bhai kindly shared the link to Bellarmith, and we have shared this on Facebook and YouTube for the viewers to go and see. But in case you're just watching, this is the place to go, that's the URL. Then we come to our other resources for you, which is the Hindu Academy website. On the website, we have got a couple of things. We've got the e-learning course and we've got the e-books. Now, I believe I'm having a report of a technical glitch on the ebook at the moment. So just give us a day or two and we will sort out the download link on this. But apart from that, that's the place to go if you want to learn about what's latest with Hindu Academy. And again, the WhatsApp group numbers are there. And finally, we've got the Basic Hinduism course, where I am still pushing to get to 10,000, and I've been pushing for months. So let's get going. Please share this course. It's a really amazing course with all the little videos that will help you get a good foundation in the basics of Hinduism. And at the end, there's a quiz you can take, which has over 100 questions to test you on your knowledge. So yeah, those are the resources. And Manish Bhai, back to you.
Thank you, Nisit Bhai, for the update and all the links. We take a next question. We take a question from Abhishek Bishoy. He's saying after attacking Hinduism, they are attacking Brahminism. Is there any such thing as Brahminism? So now there is a background story to this. There's some leftists and there are people out to put so Hinduism in poor light. They don't even accept that there is a religion or a dharma called Sanatana Dharma in Hinduism. They say it's a Brahminism. And where is this term? Where are they getting this stuff from? So is there anything called Brahminism, Vijay Bhai?
See, all these terms keep on coming up. Brahmanism, Hindutva, all this. These terms, we Hindus don't think in those terms, yes. This is just made up. Again, how do you attack somebody speaking words and then kind of twist it? And this is the problem. I think we should really, as I say, stand firm on if you ignore this kind of attacks. And I think more and more Hindus are learning to ignore that kind of stuff. There's no such thing as Brahmanism. Yes, the ancient practices are different. They're Vedic in nature. There used to be fire worship. Yes. Why bring the term in Brahmanism? It just doesn't make sense. And so be careful about all these different terms coming in, saying, oh, you're not really Hindus, you're Brahmanisms, and Brahmanism is actually only for Brahmins. they're deceiving you, you should really live Hinduism. All these nonsense will keep on coming. And believe me, unfortunately, you can't even blame some of these mission religions. Their mindset works like that. They think that if they don't save you, the second coming of God will not come. So they are determined to have the second day of judgment. So they want everybody to become, a particular Abrahamic faith. If you don't achieve that goal, then they will know, and they are determined to go to heaven. So they got some strange ideas on this. So please ignore that. This one, I want to talk about Hindutva thing. Now it's very, very interesting because the word Twa means essence. So if I say Hindutva, I mean the essence of Hinduism. But now the way they put it out in the media, it makes like a really bad word. It's not a bad word. Or if like to say it's a Manavtva, means we're all humans, but do you live like a human? So it's a Manavtva. So Twa is a Sanskrit suffix which is used to say is the essence of. You can Google it. That word actually means essence. But they keep on throwing these words. Say, oh, by the way, Hindutva is bad. What does that mean? That means I'm a Hindu. I'm not a Hindutva. But hold on, they're the same things, right? But the way you divide people, so sometimes the use of words and its etymology can be used to cause a lot of damage to religions. You have to be very, very careful. So stay away from this kind of name calling. Remember, you are Sanatan Dharma, and Sanatan Dharma is all encompassing. Stick to that kind of idea, I think. Asita Ben.
I think you covered it amazingly. There's not much more I can add. So yeah, that's the thing. Just try and develop that wonderful understanding of your religion, and then you won't be swayed by all of these new terms which are coming out.
Okay. Rahul MG has asked about Jai Bhai, saying where was Jai Bhai born and grew up? Sita Ben.
So he was born in East Africa, and then he came to the UK quite young, actually. I think he was around 16, and he did his high school education here. He went to Imperial College and did physics, and then we all know that he did quantum mechanics at master's level. And he was spending a lot of time reading the complete works of Swami Vivekananda during the same time that he was learning about quantum, and that's where his sort of life inspiration came from, is sort of linking science and spirituality, and that was his life's passion. And he spent a great amount of many years traveling schools and colleges and universities across the UK, and talking about not just Hinduism but also the links with science and spirituality, as we all know. So yeah, it's a really inspiring life, and I'm lucky to have had him as my dad. Vijay Bhai?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know he's from East Africa, and I've met him, and I talked to him a lot. And I think I knew from what I know from Jai Bhai, he was intensely spiritual from very young. Even when he was a teenager, he was very, very spiritual person. So I think he must be some very good karma from many past lifetimes, that he, at a very young age, he was deep into spirituality. Because, when you're 16, 17, you don't start picking up Vivekananda volumes and start reading, So you actually want to play football and do whatever. But he was an intensely spiritual person. So you can imagine he has love for science and his love for religion, both at the same time in parallel, doing both together. And that's in a way, it's just about Jai Bhai. Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. Jai Bhai did so much work, and did a special story on Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Do watch it and feel his spirituality rising there. So, and we leave it to you there. Next question we take from Just for YouTube. He's saying, if God is a principle, do we still need to hang on to a personalized God in the modern age? Vijay Bhai?
Okay. The thing is, even people who believe in a personal God, they also accept God as a principle. I mean, this is a very, very interesting topic, because the great ancient thinkers in Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, all the acharyas, has been a very big debate. You see Shankara saying one thing, Ramanuja saying something else, Madhava saying something else, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying something else. So it's a very big topic. But all I can add here is that we have to accept that everybody is different, and everybody has different aptitudes in life, edge and aptitude. For some people, they find much more easier really to go following the bhakti mark, and we have to accept that, right? There's some who said, no, I'd rather worship God as a principle, and that's fine. So some people say, look, even both are really hard. I'd rather just to serve God in humanity, which is what Ramakrishna Mission does. That's fine too. So yes, God is a principle, but doesn't mean that you don't have to approach. You can't approach God in many different ways. You can still approach in many different ways. You can actually personalize a principle into a personality, and there's nothing wrong with that in Hinduism. You can do that, and you can then worship the infinite through a finite means. So that's okay too. So I think we should accept that everybody is different, and everybody would see God in a different way, and whatever path suits the best, we should respect that and kind of accept that that's okay too. Sita Ben?
Right. As we've been talking about today, there are such a wide range of different ways of making spiritual progress, and it's not right to sort of put one above the other. Each pathway is beautiful in its own right, and you can think of God with form, you can think of God without form. They ultimately all lead to the same destination, and as you continue making spiritual progress in your pathway, you will start feeling a greater affinity with people of other religions and other spiritual traditions. And they will feel like there's no need for conflict, because when you're sort of on the outer rim of your religion, you kind of see all the differences. But as you edge closer and closer into the center of the circle, you start seeing the greater level of affinity with other traditions and other spiritual traditions from across the world. And it doesn't even have to be religious. It can be non-religious as well. All of these wonderful art and music and spirituality and science, all of those are equally valid pathways of making spiritual progress. And that's what spiritual democracy is all about.
Wonderful stuff, Sita Ben. We take a next question from Harat, saying in our Muslim world, we have a conviction that Indians worship cow. Is it true? What kind of worship is it? Sita Ben?
So yes, there's always a misconception around the cow, because people think, oh, you worship cows, you worship animals, what kind of a weird religion are you? But what we're saying is that we are giving reverence to the animal kingdom, but especially to the cow. And there's a reason for that, is because having the cow living alongside humanity helped us to settle down and help us move away from being hunter-gatherers, where, you know, we sort of finish the resources in one area, then we pack up and move and live in another area, and it's a very scattered lifestyle. So having a cow starting to live alongside humanity helped us to settle down, have agriculture, have all of these wonderful things which helped us to become civilized. Because rather than focusing on where our next meal is coming from, we can focus on other higher sort of aspirations. We can focus on meditation and introspection and spiritual progress, rather than where is my next meal coming from. So there's a real benefit to having the cow living alongside us, and that's why we give reverence to the cow. We don't sit down and worship the cow. We are giving reverence to the cow, especially in the animal kingdom. Vijay?
I think that's pretty much got it pretty well. All I can add is, I think it's not unusual. I mean, if you look, say, in the West, I know that there are some English who really love the horse, and they would not even eat horse meat even offered. Horse, I mean, nowadays, of course, it's more than horses. Now the dog is very popular. But the issue is that quite often some animals are linked to our civilizations, and they kind of help our civilizations grow. So then, of course, we show reverence to it. So it's not unusual in that sense. I think we should be very careful that we do not worship cows. Hindus have never worshipped cows. That's something that I think we need to keep in mind. Yeah.
Thank you, Vijay Sita Ben. We take a next question. And Suraj Kumar has asked an interesting question. He's saying, let's say I'm a sadhu and I'm hungry for 7 days, and one day I got something to eat, but suddenly a beggar comes and asks for food. Should I give him food and satisfy his hunger, or should I eat the food? Says Suraj Kumar, he's saying, I'm a sadhu, hungry for 7 days, 7 days, and got some food. Now a beggar is asking for that food. What should he do? Sita Ben?
That's a really tricky question. I think when it comes to these kind of ethical dilemmas, I don't think you can ever whitewash it. You can't say this is the right decision and this is the wrong decision. It's up to you to make that decision, that ethical decision, because it's very, very difficult. It becomes very, very muddy waters if you say one way is right and one way is wrong. So one of those things is, you remember that you are the spirit, you are all powerful, you are able to make those decisions without having to rely on somebody else to make those decisions for you. So if we are ever in that situation, maybe we'll choose to give to the beggar, and for you that's right, but maybe you are so incredibly hungry, you're much more hungry than the beggar, for example, so maybe it would have been right for you to have that food, whatever it was. So it's very, very difficult with these ethical questions to give an answer. I don't know what Mujibhai thinks.
I think, yeah, you're right, Sita, it's quite difficult. But I'll tell you some interesting stories from my own community. When I was very young, I actually met some monks in a temple in where I come from, in Kutch, in Bhuj. And they were like, one of them was 90 years old, and he was very, very thin, you know, almost like a stick. And I sat down with him and I heard some incredible stories. And what he was saying, that in the 30s in Gujarat, there were so many droughts and people couldn't afford, didn't have food. And, when you go to temple, you always put some money or coin as, as a gift, right? So people didn't have any coins. They would put grain. They'll bring little, like a little half fist of, barley or, millet. And they'll put it in the charity box. There was no money. They didn't have money. So in the evening, they would get together and separate everything out. And whatever remained, they would actually cook something to eat. But then they realized that the people who actually come in the temple and put this grain in that, even they didn't have enough to feed. So they were telling them, what do we do now? They're giving this grain to us because they want to worship God. But we know that sometimes they would not eat for 3-4 days. And they would actually give it back to the community and saying that, look, we are monks. We should really starve ourselves. That these are normal people. They should have the food. But sometimes they will keep little bit just for themselves because they know even they have to preserve their body. So yeah, it's a dilemma. But by and large, I think monks, the whole idea of sannyas is to be a giving person. But that doesn't mean you kill yourself, right? So but you can share, obviously. But of course, you said, look, as a monk, I have to give my family. The whole world is basically a family. So it's a tricky question. But I've heard of this kind of issues happening. So it's not, it hasn't happened. We live in a very lucky times now. We have a lot of food everywhere, just excess food, I would say. But at one time, it wasn't the case. And there's a really big struggle on this kind of dilemmas. Interesting stuff. Yeah. Manish Bhai.
Yes, so there is a comparable story from Mahabharata. I think when Yudhishthira did this Rajasuya Yagna, and after the Yagna, there is the, Nolya, I'm not sure, it's a kind of lizard, came and he, went in the fire, place where, and he didn't turn golden, and he said, it tells a story about a family that was starving for many days, and a beggar comes. They had one roti to eat anyway, and a beggar comes, and they give the beggar that roti, and they all die. And he said that when I went in their house and was wandering around, I turned half golden, my body. And when I came to your yagna, it didn't happen. So maybe your yagna is not complete. So it is to see that, seeing God in human beings. And if you see that, then maybe you will give it away. You see God in that beggar and you will give it away and not mind dying. So it's such a wonderful story in Mahabharata, and something to aspire to, I suppose. We take next question from Suraj Kumar. Should one have total trust on God? Should one build that much trust that you leave your money out in open and doors open because everything is controlled by God? So that's what's there to fear from? Vijay Bhai.
These are very tricky questions, but okay, look. First of all, when you say total trust in God, I think it's very important to understand that it's good to have trust in something higher than something called God. But remember, we are an experiential religion. You want to experience God for yourself. That's your actual goal. I think that the fact still remains that we have to live a normal life, a normal mundane life. So you need money, you need food, you need all this stuff. Of course, you should still be ethical in how you spend your money, how you save your money. But I think leaving money out or just forgetting everything, I think that's more like escapism. We should try not to do that, yes. I know we say God controls everything, but even though God controls everything, if you believe that, which is fine, but still, I think we should have some responsibility. We should not try and just say, okay, close my eyes and forget everything. That's not how the world works, obviously. But yeah, that's all I can add on this. Can you add some more on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wonderful because in Hinduism, we're not just relying on a God in the sky, you know, as a person. We say that God is us, God is in humanity. And if you see that you yourself are God and everyone else is God, then it doesn't mean that we sort of become silly and leave money out and, you know, expect everyone to like not take it. It reminds me of a wonderful story. I think it was, you know, the story of, I think it was Adi Shankara, where he was teaching one of his students that everyone is essentially divine, all living things are divine. And then they finished the class, and then there was a mad elephant rushing towards them, and everyone was running to escape. But then one of the students says, but the elephant is God. So the elephant won't hurt me. I will just stand here. And then the elephant just picked him up and threw him to the side and got really hurt. So it's just the most silly sort of example, because essentially, yes, everything is divine, everything is spiritual, but that doesn't mean you sort of become careless in your life. Everything is divine, yes, but we're all part of this play where, you know, you see a mad elephant, you do something about it. You know, everything is sort of, you know, divine, but everything is sort of playing a role in the sort of world that we're living, the world of appearance that we're living in. So it doesn't mean that we sort of, you know, scatter our money and forget everything. We carry on doing everything, but everything is divine, essentially. So we're elevating the whole of the living kingdom to the divine, but we're still careful about what we do.
Wonderful stuff. That's really nice to hear. We got it. Next question. We're coming to 3 o'clock. We'll take 1 or 2 more questions. Neo6651 is asking, individuals baptized in Catholic, are they accepted and welcomed in Hinduism? Vijay bhai.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think we should realize that we're not a religion of conversion, right? If we accept Hindu ideas and the idea of Sanatana Dharma and the universal message of humanity, then you're a Hindu. You don't have to have a stamp, rubber stamp as such. I know that that's why many people actually, I remember Jay Bhai was saying that people keep asking, how do I convert to Hinduism? You don't convert. Conversion is like saying that, you know, humanity is divided and humans should all have, they're not. I mean, if you believe in the ideas, then, you know, that's what we want. We don't want you to go out saying, oh, I've got this tag. But nevertheless, I know that many people from Catholic tradition, they would like to have this stamp. And I think there's some, I know some might do something called Shuddhi ceremony. They call it the purification ceremony. So you feel, okay, now I've left my old baggage and now I've become a Hindu. Some people do that as well. But by and large, I think it doesn't matter if you're baptized or not. You can come to Hinduism. There's no link to anything like that. Yeah, we don't link the two together. You can still happily access some Catholic identity which you really aspire and makes you feel a better human being. So be it. And still practice Hinduism. No problem at all. Sita?
Yeah, of course. And Hinduism has absolutely no sort of problem with that at all. We're very welcoming of everybody, but we're not going around saying, convert to ourselves, convert to Hinduism. We never say that in Hinduism. What we have to recognize is that all of these sort of religions and doctrines and all of that, they're like fences and hedges that are, you know, there to protect little saplings, our little sort of spiritual growth, essentially. But then as you continue to grow, you don't really need those boundaries and those fences. You can get rid of those and you can grow in your spiritual journey and become like a beautiful tree. And then you don't need all these fences and hedges of, I'm from this religion and you're from that religion. They disappear and they melt away as you progress on your spiritual journey, because you're all going to the same place anyway.
Wonderful. We'll take the last question. Curious Creatures asked, is the word Gnostic synonymous to agnostic? Who is a Charvak? Sitaben?
So I think Gnostic means sort of you don't believe in God, and agnostic means you're not sure about God. So it's slightly sort of different. So you know, somebody who is agnostic is sort of open to the idea of spirituality, but they're not sure and they want to sort of continue on that journey possibly. And somebody who is an atheist, agnostic, is a firm like disbeliever in God and spirituality and religion and all of that. And actually Hinduism, you may be surprised, encourages us to be humble agnostics, because we can never truly become, sort of enlightened until we have actually had that spiritual experience for ourselves. We don't actually know. We've got these amazing personalities, we've got these amazing teachings throughout the ages, and they are our guidepost. But you can never actually know if there is God until you have had that spiritual experience. So Hinduism really does encourage us to be humble agnostics. And when you've had that experience, you will know, and you will fully understand the true depth of the universe and spirituality. But up until then, we don't really know. And that's probably the best attitude to have. Vijay bhai?
I think Sita, you pretty much covered it. I think one thing just to add on to that is that in India, by and large, what people say is that, the three religions that we have in India, which are not linked to the Vedic scriptures, which are the Jains, the Buddhists, and Charvaks, they are also seen as Gnostic. I remember when I was very young, sometimes if I'm being naughty or something, my parents said, "You are a Gnostic." And I always said, "Why is she saying that?" I have no idea what Gnostic means. But by and large, I think what Sita said, Gnostic is to categorize those religions, but they don't accept a God in the real sense. So they're seen as the Gnostic faiths. All the others, which are based on the Vedic kind of idea, are seen as the Astic faiths, which are all the variations of Hinduism we have. They're the Astic group. So Gnostic in that sense is linked to the idea they don't believe in a God as such, but they have other kind of beliefs. Regarding the Charvaks are the ancient atheists. They're total atheists, no belief in God. They don't believe in a spirit. So the Charvaks they believe that the human body we have, the consciousness we have, is part of matter. It's not something different from matter. So they give an example that if I had some matter, the spirit is already in there dormant. But when it takes the form of a body, that spirit becomes alive. So spirit is inherent in matter. There is no separate spirit. So they're in essence total atheists. So yeah, the modern atheists they're not the first ones. Charvaks are the first really ancient atheists. But they used to believe that you should enjoy life as if there's no other life. There's only one life. That's the idea of Charvaks. So Charvaks, Jains, Buddhists are seen as Gnostic in the sense that they don't see God as in the heaven, but they do. The Jains do believe in the idea of spirit, but not a God. So that is there's a lot of different angles and variations to that story. So I think we leave it there. Manish bhai.
Amazing. So, wow, where has the time flown? It's 1 hour into the call already. And it's time now to sort of bring things to an end for today. And before I bring it to a close, I'd like to share a quote from, today would be from Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans. This I thought was interesting because we have a viewer called Harith. Harith is a viewer who's following the faith of Islam, I think. And so there's a little bit of a discussion going on about the merits of Islam and Hinduism and how things work. So this I just thought would be appropriate. We have a quote that says that all religions are true. God can be reached by different religions, as many rivers flow into the sea by many different ways. They are all but one. So I thought that's a wonderful way to just say that, we are all one end of the day, and all these different pathways we seek end up to the one spot. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be a personality-based thing. At the moment, we're talking about personality. It could be like we just talked about the Charvaks being, sort of atheists, but they still believe in spirituality. You can be an atheist and still be spiritual. So with that, folks, I think we need to bring things to an end, and I'll just bring the team back on. So thank you so much, Manish bhai, for always handling the questions in a superb manner. Vijay bhai and Sita ben, thank you so much for answering the questions. You've always been caught off guard, but you answer them so well. And I think, we are making great progress based on the feedback that I've got. In fact, I just want to say a quick thank you to one of the viewers, Michael Cook. Michael kindly offered to donate towards the cause. And I did say that we're not accepting any donations at the moment. I did say, instead, you can help us by sharing our content online and spread the word to other people. And Michael's kindly said that he will make a pledge to feed the less fortunate in the name of Hindu Academy. So thank you, Michael, for doing that. It is not required, but we do appreciate it very much. And I'm sure it will be appreciated by the people that you will touch with your kind generosity. So folks, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next week on Saturday at 2 o'clock UK time. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Nisit Bhai, for your help as well with the